Okay, next is band uniforms.
I think that the discussion with regard to band uniforms that we, as we discussed last month, there was one company out of the 6 that we requested quotes from for the band uniforms. It was DeMolin Brothers. They provided us with a quote of $56,426.30. That's for 152 uniforms. We normally have about 120 students in the band. The additional uniforms are just different sizes for depending upon the students that participate in the band. The question I think now is whether or not we want to charge some kind of a fee for those students to be a part of bands, similar to the fees that we charge for participation in sports or activities, to recoup some of the cost or recoup the cost over a period of time. What was in the recommendation was to charge a fee of $100 to all the students that participate in band. There was a question that was raised in terms of why this isn't treated similar to one of the athletic sports and charged a higher fee. So
Currently our fee structure is set up so that activities are 75, performing activities are 100, and then athletics were 200 with the sliding scale the board approved last year. So the only reason that we started with the $100 recommendation is that would be consistent to what we charge students that are in the musical or any of our performance activities like math club and orchestras, anybody that's competitive or any of the performing arts that are competitive or have performances. That's what we charge, was $100.
But band is a class,
Correct.
so we'd be charging students money to attend a class that's in their curriculum. My children, all 3 of them, have taken band for 4 years.
We have fees for science labs, we have fees for other books.
So what are the science fees? That's what it should, if we're gonna have a classroom fee, it should be appropriate with a classroom
Well, I
fee.
think the argument that again, I think this is a board's discussion, but I think the discussion point that came up before was that the band uniforms and the large purchases for performances outside of the class. That's what somebody brought up before.
The band, they don't wear their uniforms to class every day. It's a class, and they're allowed to go to all the sporting events where they wear them.
But they're not allowed to not do that.
Okay, hold on. Really? I mean, whether they are, whether they aren't. What I don't like about band is when it's convenient, it's treated as a sport, and when it's inconvenient, it's treated as an activity. I made the point before. Varsity athletes on the football team, when the football season's over, they have to go back to gym.
Right.
They can't take another class. Band members don't. Supposedly, part of the reason is because then they get to waive out of gym is because of the athletic portion of the band. So I feel that if we're going to get to take advantage of that, they should be, in essence, penalized the way the other athletes are that are in that sport for that period. That seems fair to me.
But if you take band, your GPA actually suffers if you don't get an A in band, so it's a risk taking band. And if you don't go to marching band or perform at the concerts here that we pay for or perform at the games, your grade suffers for that. So either your grade can't be contingent on that, and somebody can say, I'm not marching, and my grade won't suffer. It's either a class or not. But it goes into their GPA, which goes into their rank.
Any other comments from board members?
What is the useful life of the band uniforms? I forget what we said it
What
was,
is it, Pam?
10 to 15
10 to
years?
12 or
10 to 12.
12.
And so,
If taken care of, 15. So we've set this up so that we've kind of can pay these off.
in 5.6 years.
Right. And then we can continue to build if we continue to charge a fee, be ready so that when these band uniforms are ready to be replaced, the district will have a revolving account where we could then start making the payment to buy the next one. When this was originally proposed, one of the things that was discussed was the parents doing fundraisers and trying to fundraise a portion of the money, and then the district covering a portion of the money. I've gotten, and speaking with individual band parents, I've gotten some mixed reviews. Some parents would prefer, listen, I'd rather pay, a flat $100 for my band uniform than every year have to sell $300 in cookie dough or cheesecakes. And then the district obviously has fee waivers, and we also have the discretion, so if there's hardships, the district can, the superintendent and principal have the right to review those hardships. We also have payment plans. So, if the district's gonna front $56,000 to pay for band uniforms, I think we need to look at putting some cost back, fee-related, because we do that with pretty much everything else here. So I think there would be a sense of unfairness to an extent. I think the board needs to determine what a fair amount is, and we started to align it to be consistent with what our current fee structure allows. That's why we did not go with 200. We figured it's a performing art. But that was our rationale. So we are open to recommendations from the board.
So Tim, let me ask you a question. Starting out, the balance would be $56,426 in a negative. As this money starts coming in, it would pay off that, what was owed, but then start building it back up, right? We could do that?
What's the number of students? What's the number of people in a band? The number?
About 120.
120, so you're gonna
Yeah,
get 12,000.
so
a
about
year.
12,000 a year.
Is that
Over 10 years,
after waivers or before waivers?
We need to look at.
so assume
Figure it's
20%,
or
right?
whatever.
So let's just base it on 100.
So
All right,
100,
so
So 10,000, yeah.
10,000.
So if you charge 100, that's 5.6 years. If you charge 80, that's 7.05 years.
So we'll be in shape to
Fund
fund the
the
next
Well, we
band
wanted,
uniform. We won't have to wait. How many years did we wait
I
this
think
time?
we're close to
15?
20.
20?
What we wanted to make sure of was that, so that the fee we did charge, it puts the district in a better position so that halfway through we have paid off, or close to halfway through, we've paid off these uniforms and we're starting to build money to buy the next uniforms.
Plus of that too is, let me ask you this, for the marching band, is there equipment that we have to upkeep and all that other stuff? What's the average cost on that yearly cost?
They have a supply budget.
They have a supply
Yeah.
budget, they have a repair budget for their instruments,
Okay.
so,
But
you know,
this-
there's quite a bit.
But the students have to maintain their own instruments.
own
right?
instruments.
So the students have to buy a $1,000 instrument, the students have to maintain their own instruments.
Well, some instruments
Some
we own and
instruments are
maintain
in
because
school.
we get
Provide
repairs
some
for
through the
them.
district.
Yeah,
Well, but not many. I think we should get the numbers. So the students who are in band are already paying a lot more than somebody coming in to take science. You're not bringing your own microscope in. What is the fee that they pay for science?
Right now, a student who takes band pays $25. Is that correct, James? I'm sorry to put you on the spot right as you walk in. And that fee is to help cover the dry cleaning cost of their current band uniforms and the tuxedos they wear to band concerts. Correct. That does not cover anything to do with instrument repairs or music purchases, correct?
No.
The district does those repairs, correct, and those purchases?
Correct.
How often do we, what type of budget do you have? Yeah, you can come up, I'm sorry. James Baum, our band director, music teacher. Sorry if anybody doesn't know that. James, how many what type of repair budget do you have for instruments?
We have, I know what the balance is, but I don't know what we started off with. I think right now we're around 4,000. I think we might have started around 7,000
Okay.
for repairs, and that's for school instruments only. So we don't repair individual students' instruments or anything like
So
that.
some students have their own, and then we provide for those that don't, correct?
Most have their own, yeah.
Okay.
The instruments that we provide are the bigger ones, like tubas,
Percussion.
percussion, bass clarinets, bari saxes. Those are instruments that are really expensive, and it would probably be too much to ask a student to own their own.
Okay.
So,
What is really expensive?
well, a bari sax for a student model starts around 5,000. An alto sax, I mean, just comparable for a student model alto sax, that's 1,000. So a student model bari sax is about 5,000. Tubas, I think when we purchased our last tuba, it was about $3,000. So, and that's not a professional model. Professional models, like my bari saxophone, cost $10,000.
So the students who provide their own flutes and trumpets and things of that nature, what are their outlay in general?
Well, by the time they get to symphonic band, they're typically going for professional models because they've made the commitment into music. So a lot of the students, I know saxophone well because I play saxophone. So a lot of students will put forward the $3,000, $4,000 for a professional alto saxophone, $5,000 for a professional tenor saxophone, $2,000 for a flute. Yeah,
How about the
$2,000.
freshmen that come in and they're not sure if they're going to go for the professional model? How much are they expending?
Usually they're still on their instrument that they started with in 4th or 5th grade, which it varies on price. I think
So they
trumpets-
may even walk in the building with an instrument.
Well, most of them do walk in with an instrument, aside from the percussionists and our tuba players, and sometimes we'll get cello players in orchestra, but I know, yeah.
And so then it's their family's decision to upgrade if they want to go with these more.
Right, and sometimes they'll be with a company that has step-up programs, meaning they buy a small, they rent from their basic instrument, and then the money that will accumulate to go towards a step-up instrument.
And we need to approve it at this board meeting because it takes that long to get uniforms for the fall, right?
We're probably gonna go, Tim and I had talked that if the board needed more time to discuss, we can go till May, because we were gonna try to go with the current uniforms for one more season, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can.
But we wanna get it in the budget so that we can purchase them and have them by the summer of 15.
Okay.
That would be, so we have a little time to discuss this.
Any other discussions from board members?
Yeah, Tim, I had asked what was the original estimate of what the cost was going to be on these? Do you remember?
It was about the same thing.
Was it?
Because it was provided by Des Moines.
Well, since I raised the two, I can live with the 100. I just want to make sure it's vetted out. I would analogize it more, especially when you consider the other course, to an AP type. We charge the kids for the cost there, and if they don't take the AP class, they don't get certain benefits, right? If you don't take the AP test, don't you have to take the final or something like that? Right? So,
Right.
you know, as you hear the discussions, there's even more cost, which is true for some of the sports, for the sport. But, you know, I think the math is close. I could live with the 100.
And Tim,
Other
we can
people
keep
won't
that
live
money
with it.
Yes.
in that area just to spend for that, so we're like recycling
Yes.
ourselves.
Do we have any sense, Mr. Baum, from the parents about a $100 fee for band?
Well, I was just at the music sponsors meeting, and I don't know that I think my initial proposal was increasing it to 50, which they seemed fine with. I haven't asked them about $100, so I don't know. But I think they understand the rationale behind it, and they seem okay with it.
So, James, I don't know if you missed this when we walked in, the intent is so that the district pays for the band uniforms completely.
Oh, great.
And then
Thanks.
so there wouldn't have to, because in my conversations with some band parents, they said they'd rather pay a fee than have to sell $300 in bakery or
Cookie dough.
Right, yeah.
And the purpose is so that halfway through the life of these band uniforms, we pay them off and we start building the account for you to buy your next set and
Yeah.
when these expire.
Right.
So it's not a flat 54,000. We'll already have half the money put away, maybe almost all the money.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Were we being asked to approve the purchase and therefore the order rather than approving the fee?
Both.
It's both.
Both is in the resolution.
Okay.
But-
Do we have enough information as to the number of students and the number of waivers to see where that midpoint, the midlife, if that we pay it off halfway through the?
I think if we miss by a small percentage, I think we're still going to be okay because we can get probably 12 to 15 years out of these, correct?
Correct. Well, I mean, looking at next year's schedule, there's 4 games, so we're already down 1 performance than we were this year. And the kids take really good care of them. That's how we got 19 years out of these ones. So I would imagine we could stretch it, hopefully.
And James, as you field questions about this, I think one of the things especially Mr. Rusk is concerned about is that we don't want to hurt the band.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that kids understand if there's some hardships, they need to see the administration. We do have different fee payment plans. There's different ways to address this. If kids are on free and reduced lunch, we do waive fees. So all that would still apply like it does to all the other activities. So the sooner, once the board approves this, the sooner you can begin communication and acknowledge that the board is stepping up to front the money.
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
we originally were approached, you guys were going to try to do a large fundraiser and come up with, the
Yeah.
board's taking on this burden, so.
But would that 100 also include the 25 so that band students aren't paying 100 plus 25, they're only paying 100?
We probably should put in a resolution that's increased from 25 to 100, and that would make it perfectly clear.
Yeah, just
Okay.
a straight 100.
What does the board feel about that?
Yeah. Can you give us the useful life year that we can go forward in our talking points when people come up and ask us, and we can say, Mr. Baum, the band director said that the uniforms will last hopefully with good care by the students. How many years?
All right, at the very least, it's 2024, but
Well, how many years is that?
that's 10 years.
Okay.
I mean, 2026, beyond. I mean, we bought these ones in 1994, so that's 20 years right there.
And you know, so you're saying they'll last at least 10 years?
Yeah,
So if we could go 12 to 15, we should be able to cover ourselves plus future purchase.
Okay.
Kevin, the only other point of what you raised, if we approve this today and they can be ordered, can they be in here for next school year?
That'd have to be something Tim and James work out.
But I mean, if they can be
If
bought
we
here,
if we
why not
voted
do
today,
it?
say go for it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Depends when they would need payment, since the money wouldn't be approved, our budget.
Well, we could agree to make an adjustment to the budget, though, too.
And carry it over.
I mean,
It would
there's no
cut-
point approving it today, and if they can have them by August or whenever they need them,
All right.
not waiting another year because.
Well,
you know,
let's
we'll get some
Or
buffer.
Tim could be a good negotiator and say, order them, and
We'll pay
they probably
you.
won't be ready until July, at which point we will pay you.
Sure.
Tim, are you that good?
We'll work on it. I just don't want to give up our
Tim
goal
says
of
we- I don't
balancing
think
the
we-
budget.
yeah.
Tim says yes. All right, so we're gonna need to reword this motion.
So resolved that the Board of Education, Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois hereby approves the purchase of band uniforms from DeMoulin Brothers at a cost of $56,426.30 for 152 uniforms, and increases the yearly activity fee from $25 to $100 per band student as presented in the April 8th, 2014 board agenda packet.
I have a second.
Second.
Second by Tim Walsh.
Can we
Any other
let the
discussion?
resolution show it's the class fee, not the activity fee, correct?
Right.
You can amend it.
All right,
Class fee.
No,
You
it's
okay
a
with
little
that?
clear, the
Yeah.
$25 is.
what they're
was
paying
for-
right now.
Was for what, though? That's a separate band fee?
Currently, kids pay a class fee of $25 for band, and regardless if they're in jazz band, symphonic, and that is the dry clean, their tuxedos that they wear at concerts, and the dry clean the band uniforms after each football performance.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we're going from 25 to 100. So an additional $75 to help offset the cost of purchasing the band uniforms.
Gary, what was your thought on this?
It's fine, it's fine.
Just want to be consistent.
We'll be ahead of the game.
We're starting to
20
self-fund
years from
ourselves, which
now,
is good, so.
ask where the money's coming from. At least there'll be some buildup.
All right, Marianne, go for the vote.
Ms. Ruska?
Yes.
Dr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Mr. Welch?
Yes.
Mr. Richard?
Yes.
Mr. Sims?
Yes. All right, next item
Thanks,
on.
James.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, James. Now, can you get one in my size? Thank you. All right,